Welcome to the deep dive. Today, you've sent us down uh, quite a fascinating rabbit hole, the topic of female ejaculation.
Hmm.
It's something that, often feels like a rumor or maybe something really rare.
That's right.
Hmm.
Yeah, for a lot of people, it still has this kind of air of mystery about it.
Yeah.
And the idea that it could be like a regular thing might seem pretty surprising.
But the source material you shared makes a really bold claim, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely.
It suggests not just that it's real and maybe more common than we think, but that there's a specific technique, the author calls it the hook, to, well, reliably make it happen.
Yeah. And the author is certainly not shy about it. They're very confident.
You could say that.
Yeah.
The author says, I think the quote is, absolutely the best thing you will ever learn about pleasing a woman.
Wow. And they declare it's 100% true. Quite the statement.
Okay, so let's unpack this then. Our goal here is really to get into what this source is actually saying.
Hmm.
We're going to explore the specifics of the hook, how it's described,
Yeah.
and look at the claims the author makes about how well it works and what it supposedly leads to.
Right. So, yeah, prepare for a deep dive into some pretty intimate territory.
Definitely.
And the author really kicks things off with a big assertion. They claim most women are capable of having multiple earth-shaking ejaculating orgasms.
That's a powerful way to start. Sets the stage, really.
It does.
And they don't present this as some, brand new discovery either.
No, not at all. The source actually mentions it existing in China, 4,000 years ago?
Yeah. Which kind of makes you wonder, if it's supposedly that old, why isn't it, common knowledge today?
It's a good question. Makes you think about how sexual knowledge gets passed down, or maybe lost sometimes.
Mm.
The author seems to feel that way too, saying something like, nobody bothered to tell me about it, and most people don't really believe it's possible.
Right. Now, the story of how the author actually learned this technique, it sounds a bit like a late night chat, let's say.
Huh? Yeah, that's one way to put it. The author talks about meeting a woman in a bar,
Okay.
and she described these incredibly intense wet orgasms she'd had with an ex because of a specific way he touched her.
Uh-huh.
Though the author admits maybe their focus wasn't entirely on the technique at first, perhaps more on the social side of things.
Understandable. But okay, there's a part two to this discovery, right? Involving a friend.
Exactly. So the author told this bar story to a friend. And amazingly, the friend already knew about the kind of techniques the woman was describing.
Wow. Okay.
They had a really detailed chat, and this time the author was totally focused.
Mm.
And that conversation, according to the source, was the real key to understanding the hook.
Right. And then the author claims they went out and tested this knowledge with some pretty impressive results reported.
Yeah, that's a huge part of their claim. They talk about trying it with, I think, 6 or 7 women,
Mm-hmm.
and they say all of them had their biggest, strongest orgasm and ejaculated, though they do add a little caveat, saying it didn't happen every single time.
Okay, that's an important detail. But they also stress that the ejaculation itself isn't the main point.
Exactly. That's key. The author says the real attraction of this technique is the potential for a string of fabulous orgasms.
Ah, okay.
So it suggests the goal is more about sustained pleasure, maybe multiple orgasms, not just that one single event.
And the claim that really grabs your attention is how reliable the hook supposedly is.
Yeah, precisely. The author just flat out states that it works almost all the time if you follow the instructions closely.
Almost all the time.
They admit, okay, maybe occasionally it might not work, but they really push sticking to the steps.
Mm.
They even suggest, once you get good at it, you can maybe add your own twists for even better results.
Okay, so we've heard the big claims, the enthusiasm. Let's get into the nuts and bolts. What exactly is the hook technique? How do they describe it?
Right. So it starts with a very specific hand position. Make a fist.
Okay.
Extend your middle finger. It's called the flip-off finger. Bit cheeky.
Uh.
And then curl just that middle finger halfway back, bending it at the first knuckle. That curled finger is the hook.
Got it. A fist, middle finger out, then curled back. So how do you use this hook?
The idea is to use that curled finger to press and, fondle a specific spot.
A spot. Where?
On the front wall, inside the vagina. The source gets pretty detailed about finding it and what it feels like.
And what's the sensation supposed to be like for the woman when this spot is stimulated?
Okay, this is important. The source is really clear. As you stimulate this area, she's likely going to feel something very much like needing to pee.
Oh, okay. Like the urge to urinate.
Exactly. But the author insists it is not urine. And they strongly recommend warning her about this feeling beforehand.
Why? So she doesn't hold back.
Precisely. So she doesn't tense up or try to stop it when the ejaculation moment comes. The advice is actually to push, not hold back.
That seems like a really crucial piece of information to share. Okay, so finding this spot, it's probably not just sticking a finger in, right?
No, definitely not, according to these instructions. It starts with oral sex.
Right.
And the main goal there is lubrication, getting her really wet, as the source puts it.
Okay.
Clitoral stimulation is part of it, sure, but the focus isn't just on that initially. It's about building overall arousal, getting things nice and lubricated. The author suggests patience here, not rushing the clitoris, because building passion slowly makes the later stages more intense.
Okay, so oral sex for lubrication and general arousal. Then what? How do you find the spot with the hook?
Once she's sufficiently aroused, you gently insert the hook finger, curled like we discussed,
Mm-hmm.
then run that curled finger slowly up and down the front wall, also a little bit side to side. You're feeling for a ridge.
Dry ridge.
Yeah, described as feeling sort of like a bundle of small tubes. You need a bit of pressure to feel it, but, not uncomfortably so.
A bundle of small tubes.
Uh-huh.
Interesting description. And where on that ridge is the specific spot?
The source says it's at the far end of your reach, like when your finger is fully in. It's described as a small, kind of rough spot, maybe like corduroy, about the size of a dime, and it should feel a bit spongy.
Rough, dime-sized spongy.
Got it. And the author suggests paying close attention to her reactions as you gently probe around there. They also mention if you don't find it right away, it might swell a bit as you continue stimulating the area, which makes it easier to locate. Direct pressure should confirm you found it. Oh, sometimes it might be slightly off to one side, not dead center.
Right, so there's a bit of exploration needed, paying attention to feedback. What about stimulating it once you've found it? Just press on it.
No, not initially. The advice is actually not to stay directly on the spot at first.
Oh.
Instead, keep running the hook finger up and down that ridge, maybe side to side a bit. And when you reach the furthest point, you just gently tickle around the spot.
Tickle around it.
Yeah. Then slide back down, go up again. You gradually increase the pressure as her arousal builds. And this is important. You increase the clitoral stimulation with your tongue at the same time.
Ah, so it's coordinating the internal finger work with the external oral stimulation.
Absolutely crucial, according to this source. The goal is to have the clitoral orgasm and the internal orgasm happen together.
Right.
The author even suggests maybe pausing stimulation briefly sometimes
Pausing.
to sort of break her concentration, maybe stop the clitoris from becoming the only focus too early on. They also recommend things like teasing, talking,
Yeah.
keeping it engaging.
Makes sense. And what about when things get really intense, approaching what the author calls the grand finale, the ejaculation part? Does the technique change then?
Yes. As she gets really close, the instruction is to slide your finger back in fully and keep it there.
Okay.
Now, you focus the curled part of the hook right on the spot, which should be swollen and easier to find by now. They suggest a slight come-hither motion with the finger and playing around with the pressure to see what she likes best. And the trigger is when she starts to build towards an orgasm, specifically from that internal finger stimulation. That's your cue to really ramp up the clitoral stimulation. Firm, consistent tongue work. That signals the grand finale is coming.
The author really seems to hammer home the need for consistency, rhythm, and pressure right before the orgasm.
Yeah, that's a major point. They explicitly say that often, right when an orgasm is about to hit, if the partner changes what they're doing, you can just stop it.
Kill the moment.
Exactly. So they strongly advise keep a consistent tempo, depth, and pressure with both the finger and the tongue as she gets close. Just stay with it is the advice. She'll handle the rest.
And how do you actually know when the ejaculation is happening? What are the signs described?
The author mentions feeling the finger getting pushed out by the vaginal contractions. That's the telltale sign, apparently.
Okay, so after that first orgasm, maybe with ejaculation, is that it? End of the hook show?
Not necessarily, according to the source. They talk quite a bit about the potential for multiple orgasms after the first one.
Oh, really? How does that work?
The advice is to ease off the intense clitoral stimulation after the first orgasm,
Okay.
but keep the hook finger inside. Continue the hook motion, but maybe slower. They claim subsequent orgasms can happen pretty quickly then.
Quickly.
Yeah, sometimes leading to what they call a plateau or frequent orgasms, maybe just minutes apart.
Wow. The source even gives some pretty high numbers for orgasms the author supposedly witnessed with this.
It does, yeah. Claims of seeing over 20 orgasms in maybe 40, 45 minutes.
20.
and even 30 or more over a whole evening. They basically say use your judgment, keep her in that zone until she signals she's had enough, which could be, quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
They also add a note that short, firm strokes right on the spot seem best for keeping those repeated orgasms going. Again, consistency.
It really sounds like the author is presenting the hook as this incredibly effective, maybe even revolutionary technique for female pleasure.
That is definitely the impression you get from the source material. Very strong impression. Their enthusiastic tone, the repeated claims of success, they leave very little room for doubt in their own mind, at least how it's written here.
So just to quickly recap our deep dive into this particular source, we looked at the hook technique.
Mm-hmm.
It involves that specific curled middle finger position, stimulating a particular spot on the vagina's front wall.
Right.
And the author claims this can reliably trigger female ejaculation and multiple intense orgasms.
Yeah, we covered their claims about it working almost all the time, the step-by-step instructions.
From arousal, finding the spot, the actual stimulation, coordinating internal and external.
All the way through ejaculation and the potential for more orgasms afterwards.
Yeah. I've laid out the specific hand position, finding the spot, the different stimulation methods, coordinating with the clitoris.
And the author's big emphasis on consistency, both before and after orgasm, plus their personal stories and the nod to, like, ancient Chinese knowledge, even if it's anecdotal in this context.
Yeah. This whole deep dive really leaves you thinking, doesn't it?
It does.
I mean, here's a source laying out this incredibly precise, detailed method for something that, even though it's talked about more now, still isn't always fully understood or, frankly, acknowledged in everyday chats about sex.
Exactly.
It kind of makes you wonder about these specific instructions existing for pleasure and just how much variation there is in awareness and, I guess, open discussion about female sexual response.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it makes you think what other parts of sexual experience might be out there, less commonly known or discussed, even if they could hold real potential for pleasure or just understanding our bodies and partners better.
That's a really great way to frame it. It highlights that gap, doesn't it, between individual experiences, stories like this source, and maybe the broader, scientifically confirmed knowledge.
Yeah.
It definitely encourages us to keep questioning assumptions, maybe stay open to the idea that there's always more to learn, more to talk about when it comes to the huge diversity and nuance of sexual response for everybody.